Hi and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be talking about periods. Yes, we're going there. This video is about sustainable period products. Plastic-free products, products that are better for you, for your health and for the environment. I have 5 different options to share with you. It will depend on your preference and every single woman is different. A lot of the products I will be talking about you can get at the same store, and it's a Portuguese brand called Flow. They do sell other brands too, and this is not a sponsored video. The reason I'm talking about this brand is because the quality is better than the other ones I've tried, and I know the owner, I know how much effort goes into these products, how they're made, the use of organic cotton, the use of waste products as well, so they reuse, they upcycle products. It's amazing, and like I said, this is not a sponsored video. Before jumping into the products themselves, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about why it is important to have sustainable products. If you want to, you can jump straight to the part where I'm sharing the 5 alternatives. If not, then please, this is important information. Disposable menstrual products have a huge impact on the environment, on our wallet, and also possibly on our health. Over the years, twice as much plastic has been used in these products. Think about tampons alone. They are wrapped in plastic. They come with a plastic string applicator. Sometimes they even have plastic inside the absorbent core. That is a lot of plastic that you throw away, that oftentimes ends up in the rivers. It causes pollution. We're addicted to plastic. In fact, Addicted to Plastic is a documentary by the National Geographic of August 2022, so it is very, very recent, and I recommend that you watch it. The data is about US women only, and it says that women will menstruate for about 40 years on average. 40 years on average. That means women are bleeding for about 2 to 10 years in their lifetime. I mean, that is just, can you imagine? And that is about 10,000 disposable products that we go through. To talk a little bit about saving, because I know that we're going through a rough period right now and everybody wants to save their pennies. On average, each woman spends about 3.5 euros a month on disposable products, and that is 42 in a year. That is a lot of euros you can save. So if you buy, say, 3 basic panties, period pants, I'll be talking about that later, they will cost you about 96 euros and they will last between 8 to 10 years. So you do the maths, you can save a lot of money. And now let's jump right into the products. The first one I'm going to show you is the menstrual cup. This is perhaps the best known alternative to plastic-free periods. It is made using medical grade silicone and it acts as a collector. So it collects your flow, it doesn't absorb it, which respects your pH, it respects your environment. That is why it is so much better than tampons, and it is estimated that it will save you the use of about 400 tampons in 1 year. You can do anything with this that you would with a tampon. You can go swimming, you can go running, you can go cycling, you can do anything. Menstrual cup, it is easy to use. As I said at the beginning, your preference will depend on you and every woman is different. I am not a huge fan of the cup. I know that a lot of people are going to say, no, it's my favorite. You do you, I do me. And this is not my favorite. I'm going to show you my favorite soon. But it is fairly easy to use. It has a bit of a learning curve because you do need to get used to using it. And it comes in different sizes. So it is important that you measure your cervix to find out exactly which one will fit you best. It sits quite low, it sits lower than a tampon would, and it works through suction, so it creates a vacuum, it is held in place. If you want to, you can cut this bit, but this one is already quite short, the stem, and it is used to pulling out. When you pull out, you don't simply pull out, you remove the vacuum seal with your fingers, you grip, you squash, and then you remove it easily. My idea is to talk about the different products later on individually, so I'm now just going to show you very briefly what each one is. So you pinch the edges. I like to pinch, and then I don't know if you can see this, and then fold it so that you create a C like this, and you insert it like so. It sits a bit lower, as I said earlier on, and then to remove, you simply pinch, squeeze out. Be gentle, And that's it. And then you throw the blood into the toilet, down the sink, wherever you want to. You rinse it with cold water and then you put it back. You can use it for 12 hours. There are many other different folds. I'm not going to go through all of them right now. I like to keep things simple. That's why I use this fold. Before you use, sterilize for about 3 minutes in boiling water, and then again after you use, store it and wait for your next cycle. Super easy to use. Next, we have the menstrual disc. The menstrual disc is more or less like a cup, but instead of collecting the blood, I think it acts more like a sort of a barrier. Think of a diaphragm. It acts like a diaphragm and it holds the blood in place. It can be a bit messier to take out than the cup, just to let you know, but I prefer it. I prefer this much more. Why? It doesn't have that vacuum effect that the cup does, so it is much more comfortable for me. And it doesn't come in different sizes. It's one size fits all, and better than that, you can have sexual intercourse while using this. These are the equivalent to a tampon string, and you can fold them in many different ways depending on how short or long your cervix is. Same thing as with the menstrual cup. You pull on the string. This one doesn't have a vacuum. It is better if you pinch it, but it's not necessary. You don't have to pinch it. It will slide out easier. But as I said, it can get a bit messier, so make sure that you are sitting in the toilet when you take it out. Same thing, rinse with cold water. You can use it for 8 to 12 hours. I think that's what the brand specifies. 8 to 12 hours straight, and then you just remove it, rinse it, put it back in, and you're good to go. Same thing as with the cups. Sterilize it for 3 minutes in boiling water before using, and then you can sterilize it again after you use it and store it, or I normally just sterilize it before my next period because I'm always a bit afraid of boiling things a bit too much. And if it's going to be sterilized before I use it, then that's the important thing rather than after I use it. And rinse it with cold water whenever you use it to make sure that it's as stain-free as possible. This one, for me, is much more comfortable than the cup, but I'm gonna let you decide that one. Next up, we have my favorite option, which is period pants. For me, this is absolutely revolutionary. This is what I use for sleeping. It's what I use for sports. They're the most comfortable option for me. And Flow, which is why I recommend the brand so much, they were absolutely pioneering in coming up with a panty that, one, is skin color. It's a nude tone. You don't get many. They're usually black, and I have nothing against black, but I do prefer these. And most of all, they were the first ones to come up with a booster. These pants are amazing. Organic cotton. They can take the equivalent of 4 to 5 tampons, I believe. 4 to 5 tampons is a lot of tampons. You can boost them, which I do in the first few days when I'm having a heavier flow, or use them unboosted, which is what I do at the end of my period. I absolutely love these. They are my go-to. And the brand also came up with another version, which is their basic version. The one I showed you first was the classic version. I've got a couple of videos showing these panties. If you wanna check them out, they're in Portuguese with English captions. And they've got the basic, which holds the equivalent of 2 to 3 tampons, and I'm also loving it. They're very, very comfortable. Nothing beats my classics though, nothing. I've never ever tried panties on the market like these, and they've got a new model coming out which has a little bit of lace, because let's face it, just because we have our period doesn't mean we don't want to feel sexy. But I'm going to be filming a whole video on these panties alone and showing you the differences between them. That will come later. Like I said, this is more of a general overview. They're really easy to wash, and I know someone's going to ask me about that. I used to wash them with my son's nappies. That was the best way. I wash them at 40 degrees. You can wash them at 30 or 40 degrees. I recommend 40, no higher than that, because they might shrink. This is cotton, organic cotton. What I normally do is, after I take them out, I rinse them with cold water and the brand's soap. The brand has a specific soap for washing pads and these panties, so I just rub them. I rub a little bit of soap in that area to get rid of most of the blood, and then I either dry them and wait for my next load, or I stick them in the washing machine depending on what I'm washing that day. Don't use softener though, because softener might compromise compromise their absorbency. As I said, this is my favorite product, and now I'm going to give you my second favorite product, reusable pads. Look at this. I don't know if you can tell, but I have different sizes here because the different sizes can be used in different phases of your period. When you have heavy period or say postpartum, this is also a great option because it's much more gentle on the skin. The problem with disposable pads is that they have chemicals that sometimes are a bit too harsh. They're plastic, which means they warm up that area, or they heat up that area too much. It can cause thrush. I remember that at one point I was getting thrush repeatedly after my period, and it was because of disposable pads. I've never again experienced that since I've started using reusable pads. You put them on your panties like you would a normal pad. They have these snaps. You snap them into place. Once you're done with the pad, you take it out, rinse them in the same way as you would the panties, so you can use that soap, cold water to get rid of most of the blood, and then you wash them like you would your normal laundry. I usually use, just to give you an idea, I have my period for about 4 days, and I use 3 panties, 4 pads, and the disc. And that's it. I don't need anything else for those 4 days. Normally I sleep with the panties because they're oh so comfortable. I use these during the day, or if I'm out and about, if I want to exercise more, if I want to go swimming, for example. Although there is also a menstrual bikini. There is a menstrual bikini, guys, and I'm gonna give you a video on that one too. But anyway, the disc is great for that as well. And you can use a smaller one if you're scared. Say it's your first time using a menstrual disc or a menstrual cup, you can use this to make sure that if there are any leaks, this will hold them in. Extra bonus tip. Last, we have the one that I've used the least, and these are reusable tampons. Every time I see one of these, I think that I'm gonna roll a joint, because you're meant to roll them up and you make the tampon as you go. These are by a brand called Imsi Vimsi. They're not by Flow. So you roll them up, see? Then you get the string in place, and then you just tuck the string in and you leave this part hanging out. So normal tampon, and then you just take it out, wash it, reuse it. These have been used, and as you can see there are no stains. I wash them in the same way as I do my panties and my pads. But the reason I don't use these as much is not that they're not comfortable. They are incredibly comfortable. It just baffles me that I'm gonna wash these, right? And then I'm just gonna insert them in my hoo-ha, and I didn't sterilize them. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to boil them every time I'm meant to use them? Then I have to dry them, because I'm obviously not gonna stick them wet, you know, up my hoo-ha, because that defeats the point. It won't absorb anything. So I've always been a bit baffled by these, and I'm a bit scared, I think that's the word, scared of putting something inside me that hasn't been sterilized. Because you sterilize the cup, you sterilize the disc, but you don't sterilize these. And even if you did sterilize them, then you're gonna have to let them dry, and that just seems like a lot of faff for me. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to the other options I've already showed you. Another reason I love Flow so much is that it's a brand that just doesn't focus on the products only. It focuses on the woman as a whole, on a woman's cycle, on a woman's well-being, and it has other products that I absolutely love. For instance, these pink croissant supplements. It's vitamins and minerals which are amazing to beat PMS. I use them now because I'm already premenopausal, and it's pretty much the same hormones at play, so I love them because they stabilize me a little bit, you know. They just make me a bit calmer, and they're yummy, yummy, yummy. You've got a soap as well for the nether regions, which balances your pH, or it protects your pH, and it's vegan, it's cruelty-free, and I'm all about soap, so zero waste beauty products. And they also have moisturizing oil for that region. Yes, an intimate oil, because it is a sensitive area, and it's not just when we're pregnant that we should massage our hoo-ha. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then check out perineal massage. It's That's all I'm saying. So this is something that you can use, massage in. It can be a little bit of a ritual, and I'm sorry if this is bothering you and you're becoming squirmish, but hey, it's women, it's periods, it's cycles. We bleed. If we didn't bleed, there wouldn't be any human species now, would there? Think about that.
My pressing the wrong button.
And I didn't press the wrong button. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you found it useful, and it will give you many alternatives. I will link the products down below. As I said, this is not a sponsored video. I simply love this brand. Like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, hit that notifications bell, and I will see you again next time.